Hello and welcome to this session. This is session 4 of Unit 1, Introduction to Public Finance. In this session, we will be looking at what public goods are and how welfare economics justifies the provision of public goods by government. By the end of this session, we should be able to define public goods, explain the conditions that should call for the provision of public goods. We should also be able to explain why free riding constitutes a barrier to the provision of public goods and what privatization is and the conditions that should call for privatization of public goods. Let's then look at what public goods are. Public goods, as the name suggests, is goods that are made available to the entire population. These are goods that benefit all members of the society. There is no restriction to the access of these goods. Goods such as health services, free education, and national security has no restriction. So far as you are a citizen and residing in the country, you have access to these goods at all times. These goods are very different from private goods. Private goods, which includes the goods that just benefit a particular section of the population. Example, the goods we use in our various homes, and then goods such as vehicles or daily consumables. Public goods have two distinctive qualities. That is, they are non-rivalries. As soon as they are provided in the market, nobody can restrict someone from having access to that particular one, and there is no need having a rivalry on this particular goods. Public goods are also non-exclusion. It does not exclude or discriminate on anyone. So far as you are a citizen, you have access to public goods. The question now is, at what point should a government provide public goods for its service? A welfare economist argues that public goods should be provided when the pay is equal to the social cost associated with the provision of these public goods. That is to say, the benefit that the government will derive from these public goods is equal to the cost that they are going to incur in the provision of these public goods. That is, there should be a break-even in the provision of public goods. If government is making excess losses in the provision of public goods, then the government should consider other alternatives than it providing public goods for the public. One of the problems associated with the provision of public goods is the free riding problem. This is one of the market inefficiencies that exist in an economic market. This occurs when people are dishonest in declaring their true marginal benefit. That is, few people pay for whatever they are benefiting from in terms of the consumption of public goods. This creates a whole lot of cost for government in providing for public goods. Remember, we said one of the justification for government providing public goods by the welfare economists is when the cost is equivalent to the pay that they receive from the provision of these public goods. So in a situation where people are benefiting but are not paying for what they are benefiting for, then it becomes a problem for government in providing for these public goods. One of the ways that the government can reduce this cost is by allowing for private sector participation. By private sector participation, we are saying the government should privatize the production of some of these public goods. Privatization refers to allowing the private sector to provide services which were solely provided by the government. By this, the government will be able to reduce the cost of providing for some commodities, since the private sector may be the best option in providing for such services. Let's look at some conditions that should call for government considering privatizing some of our public goods. When the relative wage and material cost in providing such goods for goods by the government is higher compared to when a private sector entity is providing, the government should consider privatizing such good. And also, when the administrative cost for the production of some public goods exceeds or is far higher than the provision of some other goods, the government should focus on those ones with lower administrative costs and then allow for private participation in the production of the ones with higher administrative costs. There is the issue of diversity of taste and also the distributional issues. Sometimes government providing for some commodities makes it difficult to distribute these commodities for the entire population. It will be better for private sector entities to distribute this one since they may have the resources to do so. This brings us to the end of public goods. In this session, we have discussed what public goods are and some of the problems associated with the provision of public goods and how the government can reduce their cost in the provision of public goods and when the government should consider privatizing the production of some public goods. Take some few minutes to recap on what we have discussed so far in this session.